Good afternoon everyone. Today we will discuss about the electron transport chain. So we have completed the glycolysis process, electron transport system, TCA cycle. Today we will discuss about the electron transport chain. So the glycolysis process that occurs in the cytoplasm, the TCA cycle that occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria, and the electron transport system that occurs in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. The following step in the respiratory process is release and utilize the energy stored in NADH plus and FADH2. This is accomplished when they are oxidized through the electron transport system and electrons are passed on to O2, resulting in the formation of H2O. So actually what happened, the NADH2, NADH plus H2, H plus and FADH2 that produced during the TCA cycle that oxidized by the oxygen and that form H2O. So this is the process of the electron transport chain, oxidative phosphorylation. So what happened actually, NADH plus H plus and FADH2 both are attached with the O2 because there is also 2H2 present, H2 present, and that produce H2O. So this is the process of the electron transport chain. O2 and the H plus electron and proton are accumulated together to form the H2O. The metabolic pathway through which electron passes from one carrier to another is called electron transport system. There is so many complexes are present in the electron transport system, that is complex 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the electron passes from one carrier to another carrier by this metabolic process or biological process. So this is called, because it is occurs in the living organism's body, so that's why it is called electron transport system. So what is ETS? The definition of the ETS: electron transport system or electron transport chain, that is oxidative phosphorylation, that is the metabolic pathway. The metabolic pathway through which the electron passes, from one carrier to another. Okay, so the metabolic pathway through which the electron passes from one carrier to another, that is called electron transport system. And it is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. I have already said that it occurs in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Electron from NADH produce the mitochondrial matrix during the citric acid cycle and oxidized by the NADH dehydrogenase, and the electron then transferred into the ubiquinon located within the inner membrane. So what happened, you know that when the TCA cycle occurs, they produce NADH from NAD, that is NAD plus. From NAD plus, the NADH plus H plus produce, then the electron transfer from the matrix to inner membrane of the mitochondria. In the TCA cycle, if you see the TCA cycle, there is FADH2 and NADH2 produced, and this NADH plus H plus, because it break down into the electrons and protons, this electron transfer from the outer side of the membrane to the inner side of the membrane and reach to the ubiquinon. Ubiquinon is one type of the components that present in the inner side of the mitochondria, and this electron then attached with the ubiquinon. That is generated. Ubiquinon also receive reducing equivalence via FADH2 complex 2 that is generated. So in the case of the complex 1, NADH2 attached with the ubiquinon, but in the case of the complex 2, FADH2 attached with the ubiquinon. You know that when in the TCA cycle there is alpha ketoglutaric acid to succinic acid. In this step, only one step that contain FADH2, FAD from FADH2. So this FADH2 then transfer into the inner side of the mitochondria and attached with the ubiquinone. And in the case of the NADH2 transformation, there is another enzyme is help, that is the mitochondrial dehydrogenase. Okay, that is NADH dehydrogenase. Okay, so everyone listen to me, there is another information, there is the 11, the first half. In the case of the 11, that is the in not only in the second half, there is your class also will be held on the first half also. Okay, from the 10 PM class 11 তোমাদের কাল থেকে কালকে সকালে ফার্স্ট হাফে ক্লাস হবে। ওকে, not only in the second half, your first half class also will be held on the from tomorrow. The generated during oxidation of succinated in the citric acid cycle, the reduced ubiquinone is then oxidized with the transfer of electron cytochrome C via cytochrome BC1. So first what happened, NADH, they transfer 2 hydrogen electron and attached with the ubiquinone by the help of the NADH dehydrogenase in the complex 1. In complex 2, FADH, that attached with the H2O, attached with the ubiquinone, enter into the inner side of the membrane. Then both are attached with the cytochrome, then transfer of the electron, reduce ubiquinone, then oxidize the transfer of electron to the cytochrome C via cytochrome BC1 complex. Okay, complex 3. Then in complex 3 there is cytochrome C is present, that attached with the cytochrome BC1. Cytochrome C is a small protein attached to the outer surface of the inner membrane and act as a mobile carrier for transfer of the electrons between the complex 3 and complex 4. So what is the importance of the cytochrome? Cytochrome C is one type of small protein that present complex 3 and 4 and helps in the transfer of the electron. Okay, completed that part. Now next part, when electron pass from one carrier to another via complex 1 to 4 in the electron transport chain, they are coupled to ATP synthesis for the production of the ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. So what actually happened, that is the electron that attached to the ubiquinone that enter into the complex 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when they enter into the complex 5, this ubiquinone there is coupled, means they join together and then they produce ATP from ADP plus PI. Okay, phosphate and ADP, then they join together to produce ATP. If that is the wall of the mitochondria, this is the outer side and that is the inner side. Okay, so there is crystal is present, there is another cytochrome is present, so there is ATP is formed. How ATP is formed? Accumulation of ADP plus accumulation of inorganic phosphate, that is PI. Okay, these both join together to form one molecule of the ATP that occurs in the inside inner membrane of the mitochondria complex 5, not 1 to 4. For the production of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate, the number of ATP molecules synthesized depend on the nature of electron donors. So how many electron will be donors, that depends, that totally depends on the electron donors, and the ATP synthesis also depend on the electron donors, how many ATP will be produced. Oxidation of the one molecule of ATP, oxidation of one molecule of NADH gives rise 3 molecules of ATP, and while one molecule of FADH2 produce 2 molecule of ATP. So this is the most important, very important short question. How many ATP produced during electron transport chain from one molecule of NADH and from one molecule of FADH2? Okay, in the case of the electron transport chain, only one molecule of NADH produce 3 molecule ATP and one molecule FADH produce 2 molecules ATP. Remember that, that is very important short question. How many ATP will produce? One NADH produce 3 molecule of ATP and 1 molecule of FADH2 produce 2 molecule of ATP. Okay, that occurs in the electron transport chain in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. while the other one molecule produce 2 molecules of ATP. Although the aerobic process of respiration takes place only in the process of oxygen, the role of oxygen is limited to the terminal stage process, yet the presence of oxygen is vital since it derives whole process removing hydrogen from the system. Oxygen acts as the final hydrogen acceptor. Unlike phosphorylation, where it is light energy is utilized for the production of the proton gradient required for the phosphorylation, in respiration the energy of oxidation and reduction utilized for the same process. For the reason that is process is known as oxidative phosphorylation. So why electron transport chain is called oxidative phosphorylation? Because the oxygen is the final acceptor of the molecules. I have already told in the first or starting of that electron transport chain that NADH2 and FADH2, 2 H2O attached with the O2 molecules, that helps to form the H2O. So O2 is the final acceptor of the electrons, because the electrons H2O plus O2 that produce H2O. Okay. And why? That the proton, in the case of the, you know that is the proton gradients phosphorylation, photophosphorylation, the proton gradients is required for the trapping the light energy. Just like that, the oxygen is also helps in the oxidation and reduction. Oxidation means some electrons removed and some is added, reduction and addition. Okay, so this oxidative phosphorylation occurs due to the presence of the O2. So the O2 is the most vital for the act as a final acceptor of the electron, because H2O and O2 both are accumulated and form H2O. You have already studied about the mechanism of membrane link ATP synthesis as explained by the chemosynthetic hypothesis in the earlier chapter. As mentioned earlier, the energy released during the electron transport system is utilized by the synthesis of ATP and help of ATP synthesis complex 5. So energy release, you know that I have already said there is a picture that in the complex 5 the energy is released, because in the complex 5 ADP and PI join together to produce ATP. This complex consists of 2 major components. So complex 5 components, 2 components present in complex 5, that is F0 and F1. Okay, so complex 5 contains 2 components. Complex 5, that is F0 and F1. Okay. So F1 is the headpiece, is a peripheral membrane protein complex and contains the site for the synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. So F1 helps to produce, what is the function of F1? Produce ATP from ADP plus PI. Okay, that is the function of F1, and both are proteins. Okay, and what is the function of F0? F0 is act as the integral membrane protein complex form that helps to proton across the inner membrane. So it helps to, so F0 actually F1 present in the membrane to helps to produce ATP from ADP plus PI, and F0 is another protein that present on the outer surface of the membrane that produce channel tube like structure through which the protons or electrons enter from the outside to inside of the mitochondria. Okay, so transport helps in transport of proton. Okay, transport of proton. So this is the function of F0 and F1. The passage of proton through the channel is coupled to the catalyzed site of the F1 component for the production of ATP. For each ATP produced, 2H plus passes through F0 from the inner membrane space to the matrix down the electron-proton gradient. So electron proton gradients of 1 ATP molecules, how many electron is or proton is needed for production or synthesis of 1 molecule ATP? 2H plus. Okay, 2 hydrogen molecule is required to produce 1 molecule of ATP. The respiratory seat balance. So how the respiration you can be measured, or how many ATP is produced during the respiratory system, that is called respiratory balance sheet. It is possible to make calculation of the net gain of ATP from every glucose molecule oxidized, but in reality that can remain only a theoretical exercise. So you can measure by throughout the process, glycolysis, TCA cycle, fermentation, and then electron transport chain, alls are required and that occurs step by step, mainly the three, the glycolysis, TCA cycle and electron transport chain. These three are joined together, the step by step process, and how many produce to complete the respiration and how many ATP is produced through these three step or three cycles, that can you measure. There is a sequential orderly pathway functioning one substrate from next with glycolysis, TCA cycle and ETS pathway following one after another. So how many ATPs? Because these three are the main step during the respiration. So this, when you measure the number of the ATP, these three steps are most important. The NADH synthesis in the glycolysis is transferred into the mitochondria and undergoes oxidative phosphorylation. So NADH synthesis, glycolysis, you know that NADH is that first produced in the glycolysis process, then it enters into the TCA cycle that occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria, then it's entered into the inner membrane of the mitochondria through the process of the electron transport chain. None of the intermediates in the pathway are utilized to synthesis the other compounds. Okay, so another intermediates, there is no other intermediate is produced, the substrate, the enzymes there are required to complete that cycle. Only glucose is being respired, no other alternative substrates are entering in the pathway at any of the intermediates. So the most and only one components that present in our aerobic respiration or to complete the respiratory system, that is glucose. Without glucose the respiration will not never completed. Okay, there you can say that ma'am, you have already said that there is so many substances or substitutes are present, that fat, protein and organic acid, they are also, by this helps the animals also can respire, but there is partial respiration occurs. But when only carbohydrates or glucose is present, the respiration will be completed. There is no another substitutes of the glucose to complete the respiration. But this kind of assumptions are not really valid in the living system. All pathways work simultaneously and do not take place one after another. Substrates enter into the pathway are withdrawn from it, and when necessary ATP is utilized and when needed. So substrate that when needed that enter into this pathway, glycolysis, TCA cycle, that this is not necessary. First glycolysis will be occurred, that TCA cycle will be then ETS. No, when it is needed, your body is needed TCA cycle, that TCA cycle occurs, and the ATP also not utilized at the same time. When your body is required energy, they use the ATP in small amount. They store energy. Enzymatic rates are controlled by the multiple means, yet it is useful to do the exercise appropriate the beauty and efficiency of the living system. In extraction and sorting energy, there can be a net gain of 36 ATP molecules during the aerobic respiration of 1 molecule glucose. So this is the very important short question. How many ATP is produced during aerobic respiration from 1 molecule glucose? 36 ATP will be produced during the aerobic respiration from 1 molecule glucose. Okay, so 1 molecule glucose produced 36 ATP only in the aerobic respiration, not in the anaerobic respiration. Now let's compare the fermentation and aerobic respiration. Fermentation means anaerobic respiration, that is partial breakdown of glucose, and the aerobic means complete breakdown of the glucose. So let's see what they said. The fermentation accounts for only one partial breakdown of glucose, where in aerobic respiration completely degradation of the CO2 and H2. So in the fermentation the partial breakdown of the glucose occurs, and in the aerobic respiration glucose totally break down and they produce CO2 and H2O. Second one, in fermentation there is a net gain of only 2 molecules of ATP, but in the case of the aerobic respiration you can see that so many ATPs are produced, that is 36 ATP, and NADH is oxidized to NAD plus rather in slowly in fermentation. However, the reaction is very vigorous in the case of the aerobic respiration. So the three most important difference between the fermentation or anaerobic respiration, and you can say that in the aerobic respiration. Fermentation, actually you can see after the completion of the fermentation there is 2 product is produced, either alcohol or either lactic acid, and both are oxidized by the oxygen, and when they oxidized by the oxygen, that is the aerobic respiration. So first one, the partial breakdown of glucose occurs in the fermentation. The complete breakdown of the glucose into the CO2 and H2O occurs in the aerobic respiration. Only 2 molecule ATP produced in the fermentation, 36 molecule ATP produced in the aerobic respiration. And NAD plus, the production of NADH2 NAD plus is very slow process in the fermentation, but it is very fast process in the case of the aerobic respiration. Next, amphibolic pathway. Amphibolic means both occurs. So why it is called, the respiration is called amphibolic pathway? Glucose is the favored substrate for the respiration. I have already said that glucose is the main components and only one component. There is no substitute of the glucose in the respiration. All carbohydrates are usually first converted into glucose before they used for the respiration. This is the respiration, because the breathing when occurs, the complex substance break down into the simple one. That is the process of the respiration. So when the carbohydrate, it is a complex process, it cannot enter in the respiratory process. So that's why first carbohydrate break down into its simple form, that is glucose, before the entering into the respiration. Other substances can also be respired that can be mentioned earlier, but they do not enter the respiratory pathway as the first step. See, the proents of the enter different substances in the respiratory pathway. So with the besides glucose, the other substances when enter into the respiratory process, they also break down into their simple form. When fat enter into the respiratory process, what is the simple form of the fats? Fatty acid and glycerol. When glycerol enter into the break down into the glycerol and fatty acid, then fatty acids are respired that degraded to the acetyl CoA enter into the pathway, and glycerol would enter the pathway after being converted into the PGL. So the simple form of the fatty acid, glycerol. Simple form of fatty acid, acetyl CoA. Simple form of glycerol, that is PGL, phosphoglyceraldehyde. Okay, so that's why they always break down into their simple form before entering into the respiration. The proteins also degraded protease and the production amino acid, the simple form of the protein amino acids, depending on their structure, would enter into the pathway some stages Krebs cycle and pyruvic acid or acetyl CoA. So all of them, when they break down into their simple process, then they converted into the acetyl CoA or pyruvic acid, then they enter into the respiration. Since respiration involves breakdown of substrate, the respiratory process traditionally will consider a catabolic process. Catabolics means breakdown. So the breakdown occurs in the respiration, so respiration is a catabolic process, and the respiratory pathway is the catabolic pathway. But the understanding is correct, only breakdown is occurred. No, after the breakdown, they again accumulated. So anabolism is also occurred. Okay. First carbohydrate break down into the glucose, acetyl CoA, then acetyl CoA to glucose to carbohydrate. That is the cyclical process. So we have discussed above at which point the respiratory pathway different substance would enter if they are be respired and used to derive energy. What is important to recognize is that this is very compound that would be withdrawn from the respiratory pathway for the synthesis said substrate. Hence fatty acid would be broken down to acetyl CoA before entering into the respiratory pathway, and when it is used as the substrate, but when organism needs to synthesize fatty acid, acetyl could be withdrawn from the respiratory pathway for it. So hence the synthesis of fatty acid, the respiratory pathway comes into the picture, both breakdown and synthesis of fatty acid. So during respiration, fatty acid break down into the acetyl CoA, but when the organism's body need acetyl CoA, then as fatty acid, then the acetyl CoA converted into the fatty acid. So both the breakdown of fatty acid occurs and the synthesis means production of fatty acid occurs. So anabolism and catabolism both occurs in our respiration. Similarly, during breakdown and synthesis of protein, other substances also, protein, glycerols, also breakdown or synthesis both occurs in the respiration. Respiratory intermediates form the link. Breaking down process within the living organism is catabolism and synthesis is anabolism. The respiratory pathways involve both anabolism and catabolism, hence it better to consider the respiratory pathway as an amphibolic pathway rather than the catabolic one. So not only breakdown occurs in the respiration, the anabolism, that is the synthesis of the same products occurs. Okay, so the breakdown and synthesis both occurs during the respiratory process. Amphi means both, so respiratory process is also known as the amphibolic pathway. Next one, respiratory quotient. You know that what is RQ, how many oxygen is produced and how many oxygen is get removed in during the process of the respiration. That is the comparison between the oxygen and carbon dioxide, that is called respiratory quotient. So let us now look another aspect of respiration. As you know, during aerobic respiration you cannot measure the respiratory quotient during the anaerobic respiration, because aerobic is the complete respiration. So during aerobic respiration, O2 is consumed, we inhale O2 and CO2 is released. The ratio of the volume of CO2 evolved to the volume of O2 consumed in the respiration called respiratory quotient. So what is the RQ? RQ means the production, the consumption of the O2 and the release or removal of the CO2. That is the comparison. RQ means volume of CO2 evolved, volume of CO2 evolved and volume of O2 consumed. So during respiration, how many O2 you can take and how many CO2, how much CO2 you can release, this comparison is known as the respiratory quotient. The respiratory quotient is depend on the substrate. That depends on the glucose, proteins, which substrate is present. The respiratory quotient will be completed, because beside the glucose only, you know that only one substitute, that substrate that complete the total respiratory process. But if there is fatty acid and glycerol or proteins is present, so what will be the respiratory quotient? When the carbohydrates are used as the substrate, the complex oxidized, the RQ will be 1. So when carbohydrate present, RQ will be 1. But when protein and fat is present, what will be the RQ? Because there is partial breakdown of glucose occurs. So you can see that C6H12O6, because in the case of the carbohydrate you can get 6 CO2, 6 O2. Both are same, 6, 6 and both are cut. So that's why only 1 will be left. When fat are used respiration, the RQ less than 1. Calculation of the fatty acids, there is the trimethoprim, there is RQ is 0.7. Okay. So in the case of the fat, that is less than 1, okay, that is 0.7. And in the case of the protein, that also, that respiratory quotient, that will be about 0.9, that is also less than 1, equals to 0.9. okay. So these are the very short type of question: which substrate produce how many, and what is the respiratory quotient of carbohydrate, what is the respiratory quotient of fat, what is the respiratory quotient of protein. Okay. What important to recognize that in living organism, respiratory substrates are open more than one. Pure proteins or fats never used as the respiratory substrate. So there is some impurities should be mixed in the protein and fats. Pure proteins or fats cannot take place in the process of the, or cannot participate in the process of respiration. Okay. So we have completed that chapter. Next day we will move our next chapter. Thank you very much everyone. Bye everyone. We will have the class both in morning and afternoon. Yes.